Hey friends, let's go to Peacock.
And I'm at Peacock. Let's check it out.
Well, there are so many. I mean, many of them are here. Bernie Payton, Kate Lukasheva, Boyce Wong are just some of them who I know are here now. And then many, many more who I get to see in New York, Europe. So crazy.
So the first event at the convention was actually on Thursday, and it was a reception for Robert Lang's exhibit at Paper Tree. Not only was it cool seeing Robert Lang's models in person, but being in an origami store with origami folders was an unbeatable experience. If you ever find yourself in San Francisco, definitely head down to Japantown to visit Paper Tree. They've got all the paper you could ever imagine and some really cool origami on display, such as Eric Schwelzel's snail. And moving forward, I want to recognize our two special guests at the convention this year, this being Robert Lang and Tomoko Fusei, both who are huge pioneers for origami. You probably already know both of them. So here's a fun clip of them opening giant fortune cookies. And just like there were gifts for the special guest, I also brought gifts to give to random people at the origami convention. I also got some really good game ideas from my YouTube members to give these out. And you might have seen some of these games already, but if you haven't, check them out in the shorts tab on my YouTube channel. And here's a little teaser to show you how much fun they were.
Hi friends, I'm here with
Zen,
Samanyu,
William Gozali,
Thomas Feckman, Ari.
And in order to win this book, and if you guess what paper this is, guess the author of this book and win the book.
Would you be able to win one of the prizes? Let me know if you like this type of content and if you want to see more of it at origami conventions. At this origami convention, they actually hold a banquet dinner. And one of the activities during the dinner is a Q&A with the special guests. These Q&As are especially cool because you get a peek into the minds of these great origami artists. One of the questions that stood out to me was asking the special guests what their most memorable moment in origami was. And this is because my moment happened shortly after this question was asked. I'm sure you saw the clip at the beginning, but let's just watch it one more time.
Well, there are so many. I mean, many of them are here. Bernie Payton, Kate Lukasheva, Boyce Wong are just some of them who I know are here now. And then many, many more who I get to see in New York, Europe.
So crazy.
And yeah, that's an easy one that takes that spot for me. And thanks to everyone who came up to me afterwards and congratulated me. It was a big moment. And I think this is because we all feel some imposter syndrome from time to time, you know, whether we're doing things correctly or is our origami actually good. But in this moment, it really helped validate that aspect for me. I'm doing some good work with the origami, and that my community efforts and the interest in pursuing complex origami is working. You know, it's being recognized. You know, I've been doing origami a long time, but I haven't actually won many things. I haven't won any awards. I've gotten second place instead of first place many times. I straight up got last place on a TV show. But this right here was a big win. Now let's talk about classes. I think the classes I took were very interesting because I got to see many forms of teaching styles, and this really stood out to me. I think the process of teaching people origami can be an art itself, and here are some examples of different teaching styles that I thought worked really well. And let's start off with Steve, who taught his Allen meditation design. Now, this model was a simple rated class, so there weren't too many steps. And what was really cool is that Steve had brought examples for the class to see of different variations you can do. So despite it being simple to fold, there's a lot of small modifications just to make it slightly different. And there's even some process steps that he brought to show, which is kind of like seeing origami diagrams in real life. Next to mention is James Peak, who taught a Torigate designed by Jun Mikawa. And as you can see here, he used a board that he wore to be contrast with the paper he's holding up while he taught. It also has the crease pattern on screen, so there's a lot of visual aid for you to use. And James is awesome. He's always thinking about different ways to present and teach origami to make it easier and easier. You might remember I actually taught in the Fold Space Convention, and I credit James to basically why I can diagram and why many of my classes have had diagram steps in the class. All that sorts of stuff is something James is really good at and what he really cares about. Super cool. And lastly, wasn't even a scheduled class, but it was with Chris Alexander, who basically has an infinite amount of his designs that he can just teach on the spot. And these aren't even that simple. There's some really cool color changes and just fun models to do. So it's really cool to see how he can just impromptu teach these designs from memory and bring in people to fold. And of course, I taught a class. I taught my new little dragon design, which you may have seen in this stop motion video I made. And this was one of the most fun times I've had teaching an origami model. Despite this dragon looking simple, I rated this class complex because there's some tricky steps, including some unsyncs, some weird spread squashes that the normal simple looking dragon probably doesn't have. But despite those tricky moves, everybody who took the class was able to finish their dragon. This includes a very, very young folder who actually had just started folding origami. So I'd say teaching this class was a big success. The last thing I'll share about this origami convention experience is the exhibition. And if you've been watching these vlogs, you know that the exhibition is one of my favorite parts of the convention because you get to see some awesome origami. And this year's exhibitors were no exception. So check out this cool origami and let me know in the comments which one is your favorite. Reflecting on this convention really shows me how important it is for origami folders to meet with other folders. The opportunity to go to an origami convention has ultimate value. I got to talk to numerous people who saw how cool conventions were from my vlogs and were now attending themselves. And for myself, attending origami conventions skyrocketed my community involvement and my origami skill. So who knows? Maybe it'll be you that attends the next origami convention and has the experience of a lifetime.
All this origami got me going